So what's going on, guys? This is Slightly Educational Podcast, the first episode of Season 2. As always, I'm Seth.
Gabe.
And we have a special guest here, our friend Collin Martinez. And we're here to talk about Andrew Yang, the current political climate. We've been following this since our first episode, and we brought it up again in our season finale. So Collin here is a very strong Andrew Yang supporter, just like myself. What's interesting about Collin, though, is he, as far as I've known him, he's been a staunch conservative. And obviously, Andrew Yang is not the most conservative candidate at all in any way, shape, or form. So, Collin, what led to your transition into going from being like hardcore conservative to being a Yang supporter?
Well, I'd say all the memes. He's such a great meme candidate.
Really?
Yeah, that got me hooked into him, but that's not why I stayed with him. I don't know. He grabbed my attention with the memes, but hooked me in with his policies because he's the only policy-driven candidate, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but universal basic income, obviously, his driving policy isn't a very like typical policy that a conservative would have. I just want to know, going from conservative politics to like a super liberal candidate like Yang, was there anything that stood out to you? Because obviously there are policy-driven candidates on both sides. So what about Yang's policy really kind of hooked you in, For me, I think it was like when I first heard about universal basic income, it was actually on this show with Gabe, and Gabe told me I had no idea what it was. I kind of dismissed the idea, but reading more into it, I think that what he says about automation is a good point about taking jobs, and I think that universal basic income, with all these jobs taken, it's going to hit us very hard, and I think it'd be good to have that security blanket, he always says.
That's his only policy that can bring in. He's a single-issue candidate.
No.
Oh, no.
What's his other policy?
You ever seen his website?
I checked that out earlier today.
He has 100 policies with in-depth analysis on each one.
Mm-hmm. He does, and he tweets a lot, new policy idea. I swear there's a new policy idea
every day.
Yeah, every day. I like the one, he's very strong on legalization of marijuana, too, which is something that I'm super passionate about. And he says that he's going to dismiss the charges.
On 420.
Yeah, on 420. That's his master plan, to, dismiss all the drug-related charges on 420. Gabe, we touched on earlier on one of our other episodes about how you're still, a big supporter of Bernie Sanders. Do you want to just tell why, give more your viewpoint on why you think Sanders is the superior candidate over the other Democratic candidates?
Over the other Democratic candidates, I think Bernie Sanders seems more... Well, one, I think it's just the fact I'm further left-leaning. So most of the other candidates... a lot of the other candidates are moderates, I guess like Buttigieg or Klobuchar, people like that. And I think Bernie is a better chance of winning than, say, Elizabeth Warren or someone else more further left. That's why I support Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders over Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang, when he doesn't have any political experience. Not that that's a requirement or anything.
Yeah, obviously we saw in the last election, yeah.
But I don't know. Even though I guess obviously he's not a single issue, but his biggest issue is universal basic income. That's what got him on the stage, and that's still what he's trying to do. That's his big goal. Even on his front page, it's on his website, it's universal basic income. One of the first things that comes up.
Yeah, it's his driving issue, but it's not his only issue.
I understand. Obviously he's running president, so obviously he's not going to answer every single question with universal basic income. He has to have some other things, but that's his main thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what brought you, Collin, a conservative, into liking his universal basic income plan.
Well, initially I was skeptical, like Seth, because I don't know, it's free money.
It sounds like communism.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound right, but then I read more into it, and the economics of it seemed pretty sound, and Milton Friedman supported it, and he's the most conservative economist, or at least the most famous one, and I like him a lot, so I don't know, I got hooked into it.
I think where
it
Yang
just works.
Yeah, I like his policies. I think where Yang lacks and where Bernie may have the advantage, and Joe Biden definitely has this advantage, and I think it was one of the things about Trump, is the charisma. I think Yang does lack charisma. I think that's going to be something on the debates that is, he's kind of nerdy.
He's too smart for his own good.
Yeah,
in the field. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I feel like a lot of voters they're voting for the person as much as they're voting for the policy. You know what I mean? I think that's
why Buttigieg is doing.
That's why Buttigieg is so well in the polls.
He doesn't really have many policies.
He doesn't have
it's
any.
Just all about we got to come together, and I like him, but I wouldn't vote for him really.
Would you vote for him? Would you vote for a Democratic candidate over Trump if Yang didn't get the nomination?
Probably not.
So what? What is pulling you to Yang? If besides the universal basic income, what other policy then?
I just like the way he goes about himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not. I don't really like politicians that much, and
Mm-hmm.
Yang isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
He's young. He'd be a change of a lot.
A Yang.
Yeah.
A change of like, cause he's what, Asian or young?
Both. Everything. Just he's not your typical president.
Mm-hmm.
But why would that specifically be good for president? Not your typical president.
Because why is it good to have the typical president every time?
Yeah,
because,
I think
because experience is part of like what makes you good at your job.
Yeah, but it's also you want to like. We've had these failures in the American government, you know, with the career politicians. You know, obviously there are some things that they are unable to get done, and I think there is this drive. A lot of people see the American political system as kind of like swampy. Obviously, we heard Trump saying like drain the swamp. Obviously, I don't think he really drained it. I think maybe just filled it with another kind of muck. But I think there is this like desire, and we saw it with Trump getting elected. We see it with people like Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang. Like 10 years ago, these guys wouldn't have stand a chance. To the desire to like kind of bring in new ideas in a new system.
Yeah, but like at the same time, having an outsider for the sake of having an outsider would kind of like getting a pilot who's not like a certified airplane pilot just because there have been crashes in the past with certified pilots.
So what do you think are the advantages of having a career politician?
That they know what they're doing. Like someone who's had experience in like an executive position, like governor or mayor or whatever, knows like the trade. I guess how the position works, how president works, whatever. Not saying Andrew Yang doesn't know what president is, of course, but like he's a smart guy too, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a big position to play. It's a big position to fill, and you have to know what you're doing as president.
Yeah, I do think he is very, very idealistic candidate. I think he's going to bring attention to universal basic income and his other policies. Obviously, universal basic income being the driving policy. I think that we learned about how Ross Perot, brought the balancing the budget. Obviously, he didn't have a snowball's chance in hell at winning the actual election, but he brought that whole idea of balancing the budget to the main ticket and to the big screen. And I think Andrew Yang could do the same with universal basic income.
I think that's the whole point of his campaign. He's not running to win. I think he's running to bring the issue up onto the debate stage, which is why his goal wasn't to get like enough support to get to debates. His goal was to get enough donations to get to debates, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever, 65,000.
He has both though.
He has both probably now, but like that was his main goal originally, getting onto the debate stage, putting up his platform.
Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of like. With Yang, a lot of people I still think don't know much about him. I think he's very only popular with like our demographic.
Yeah, young. I guess I think his most appealing demographic is young white males.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm that, but
you're two of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he will make some noise on the debate stage, definitely. For sure. If he's as composed as he is in interviews and. Even you saw him at Ben Shapiro's podcast. Ben Shapiro, one of the did you listen to that?
I did.
On him on Ben
podcast.
Shapiro? Yeah, no, Ben Shapiro, I don't agree with most of what he says, but I respect him. I think he's a very smart dude.
He's a very smart guy.
First,
but he talks too much.
He talks a lot and likes to smell his own ass a little too much. But I think like seeing Yang even compose in that kind of setting and able to like kind of rebuttal what Ben Shapiro was saying, is something a lot of people struggle with if you watch a lot of his videos. He kind of like is good at like trapping people in debates, so I think that was definitely something that
and he didn't get hostile at all.
Yeah,
like he stayed perfect, I guess.
Yeah, but so Collin, do you see like have any of your priorities shifted over the last 4 years since the Trump election? Because I remember you were a big Trump guy. You wore the socks and everything the day he got elected. So have any of like your values, your conservative values or priorities shifted over the last 4 years that kind of led to this change in political opinion that you've had?
Well, sir, my goals haven't changed. Like having employment and people not poor because they don't have a job or and.
Was that your goal as a Republican?
Yeah, I don't want jobless people, and the president has shown that he's doing just that. He's making jobs, and
I will give him that. The numbers don't lie. The employment has gone up with Donald Trump. Whether that's a permanent thing or an effect of Donald Trump, I can't tell.
Let's hope it's permanent.
Yeah, because I feel like And obviously, I'm not the most qualified person to speak on this issue and disagree with me if you will, but I feel like the president, the impact that they have on the economy as a whole, I feel like can sometimes be like.
It's not that much.
Yeah, like I feel like the economy is more of like a natural thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't think Trump shouldn't get that much credit for employment as much as Obama shouldn't get that much credit for employment because none of them really have that much sway over the employment numbers or figures or whatever. But like at the same, like for someone like you, Collin, like I feel like there's more to the president than just whatever policy they run on because obviously most of the time, like Trump's biggest thing was the wall, right? And obviously that hasn't happened yet. So like what makes you so sure that, I mean, you're probably not sure, but like getting Andrew Yang elected to president, it's not necessarily going to see your universal basic income plan through.
Oh no, I don't expect it at all. I just want it to be an idea because I don't know if we need it right now, but at some point in the future we are definitely going to need universal basic income because when half the people have their jobs automated away, what are they going to have? They're going to have nothing, right?
What do you think it's going to take for Americans to get to that point where obviously now they're if you proposed a bill like universal basic income that'd be so radical in Congress, it obviously gets shot down very quickly. Yeah, what do you think is going to have to take for Americans, especially conservative Americans, to realize that this is something that we will need? Do you think it's going to take the loss of, like, once they start losing their jobs droves, then that's when they'll finally be able to say? Because I feel like at here, something very tragic has to happen to us in order for us to change our opinions. A lot of us are set in our ways, very staunch in our ways. So is there an event that you think will happen in the future, that either you guys think will happen in the future, that will get American citizens to this point where they're like, we need to actually make change? Or do you think it's kind of starting and that we're already able to see it, you know?
I think it's starting with Yang, but it's not really going to get majority support, like overwhelming majority support from Americans until automation really speeds up, because millions of manufacturing jobs have already been automated away, but that was pretty slow. So once it happens, like really quickly, like every month you're losing thousands of jobs, then it's really going to have more support.
Well, then do you think it's the most pressing issue then to push for universal basic income when there are other issues definitely that other candidates are running against, like whatever, climate change or even healthcare?
Well, I know he has a lot of the same climate change ideas as a lot of the other Democrats. I don't agree with the healthcare ideas of the whole Democratic field.
Why?
I don't really like universal healthcare or single payer healthcare.
How come?
Because it's unfeasible in the United States.
Wait. That's unfeasible, but giving $1,000 to everyone?
Yeah, because it's way cheaper.
Yeah, because so you'd be fine with people, I guess, just like not being able to afford healthcare with their $1,000.
Well, I mean,
yeah, and you can say yeah.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong saying that. Yeah. But
it's just universal basic income. After all the welfare reforms that he would make and implementing it, it would cost about $1.5 trillion a year. But what was the last estimate for Medicare for all? Like $20 trillion a year. I don't even think there's enough money to pay for that.
How would there not be enough money to?
Because the economy is like $20 trillion itself. I don't know if there's literally.
How would there be more money? There's more money that it costs for healthcare than there is money in the U.S.
That's what the CBO.
It
was something around there. It was.
Well, obviously you wouldn't be able to do it with the current tax rate. You'd have to raise taxes. But even Andrew Yang's universal basic income would employ new tax. You'd do what's it called?
Yeah, value-added tax, which I'm totally cool with.
Would you like to explain the value-added tax, though? Because I feel like we've never really.
Well, I don't really fully understand it.
Neither do I.
But I know it's
it's
like a sales tax-ish.
Yeah, so it's kind of like sales tax, except it's not applied at the end. So on sales tax, obviously the consumer pays taxes at the end when they buy the product. Value-added tax means every time the product is like traded hands, it's like if like wood comes or lumber, and then they'll pay tax on that. So it's taxes down the line, I guess, down the chain. So it's similar to a sales tax, and that's how Yang is trying to do it. But I feel like value-added tax is kind of like sales tax in that it's a regressive tax, which means that it disproportionately affects lower-income people, which goes against kind of his universal.
I feel like that's most taxes, though.
No, because income tax doesn't.
Yeah, you're right.
So, like, I don't know, funding this off of value-added tax on top of the fact that if you're already receiving welfare, that it cuts either like it's either or. So this whole plan is basically disproportionately affect more people. So
as like, what policies are you attracted to that instead of universal basic income that would do you want to increase funding in welfare? And
definitely. I guess I'm the opposite call. I'd prefer like Medicare for all or something like that because I think it's important for people to be able to get I guess get the care they need. It should be the government's job to ensure the welfare of citizens. And I even support things like free like community college or something, stuff like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be completely opposed to free community college, but I'm definitely not for free college.
Well, that's what the plan. It'd be like it wouldn't be free. Like they wouldn't pay for your private. Whatever.
No, I mean like community college. I'd be fine making that.
But when Bernie
free,
Sanders talks
like
about like
4-year universities, I wouldn't want those to be free. Maybe definitely cheaper because
I think they definitely should be cheaper.
yeah, I don't think in-state should ever exceed like $20,000 for tuition.
Yeah, I don't think in-state schools like a certain in-state school I applied, got in, and it was $29,000 for a year for me to go. Yeah, which is kind of, I think it definitely should be lowered, but also like with a free community college, the price of college would already be lowered because more people would be going to community college, so then they'd only have to do 2 years at a higher learning system.
I guess. No, I mean, I take it back. I think I'd support free 4-year college too.
Free for
It's just it doesn't really like the people who it would be affecting the most, who would be helping the most, are the people who, in the grand scope of things, don't really need the help that it has. Like, majority of Americans don't have a college degree, and the majority of poor Americans certainly don't have a college
but an
degree.
increasing amount of people are going to college.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Yeah,
you looked at
but
them for the
making it
RNs?
free wouldn't make it any easier to go to college. It would make it harder because more people would apply.
Yeah, but if more people apply, it means more people are going to college. Period.
Well, if more people apply, then less people are gonna, a smaller proportion of people are gonna get in. The same amount of people are gonna get in. In fact, when it's free, they're probably gonna accept less people because they're gonna have less money to pay for it. Because
why would they have less money? They're literally
because
getting
you're not
money
paying
from
tuition.
they're getting money from the government. The government is handling their tuition. The money's not going away.
yeah, but at some point the money's gonna run out.
Money from run out from where?
I'm not making sense right now. Sorry.
That's what's right.
Mm-hmm.
But what was I gonna say? So yes, you support like or at least community college, right? But you wouldn't support.
I support cheaper college, just
Cheaper
not free.
college.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that seemed pretty similar? The fact that they're paying for it all, I mean, money could run out there too.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Collin though. I think that certain state institutions should be free for the public, but I think that we can't really just make college free because of a lot of the amenities that we get at college. I feel like we kind of take for granted that our tuition goes paying, like like a gym at the school, or like all the food in the cafeteria,
And if it's a lot of money, the quality of education, right? Like
definitely
you're not paying
increases because
$60,000
there's a better incentive
Yeah,
for
but
professors to go work
The
there.
price of a school is not like tied directly to the tuition at the school.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get a great education at your in-state school, and it doesn't cost as much of a ton of private colleges, which might not even be as great.
I think there should be like an actual number. So, Collin, you're Mormon. You give dues to the church, and that gets deducted from when you want to go to BYU.
mm-hmm.
That's how the system works.
Sort
And
of.
what's,
It's like subsidized. Yeah, you give 10% of your. You decide if it's net or gross income per year, and then that money goes to run the church, and a lot of it goes to the schools that they have that I won't be going to, and that makes the schools like the cheapest in the country. So,
do you think we could implement a system like the Mormon Church does with BYU to the U.S. college system as a whole?
I mean, theoretically, but there are only 4 schools for the church to fund.
Yeah.
There would be, 1,000?
What do you mean set up like the Mormon? Are you talking like collect taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like have a certain like
subsidized tuition
that goes to the college that then your kids or you will.
That's what taxes are. I don't know what we.
No, but I'm talking like a specific number, like that's getting deducted, because I feel like we fund the state schools with our taxes, but is that tax money that we're putting in getting deducted from our tuition, or would the tuition cost the
of course,
same?
like every dollar you put in is not necessarily me $1 off your tuition on taxes. But in the same way, like $1 to take out for your Social Security or for your Medicare fund is not directly going to you personally. It's pooled through the larger people. As a matter of fact, if they would propose stuff like free college tuition, if on a national scale, then that money might go to DC first and then come back to you. So it depends what state you live in, and how much taxes your state pays towards a thing. Do
you have an idea of like what you believe is a way America could implement a free college system that would, like, in your idea, how do you see that system happening, or how do you see Medicaid for all happening? Like, what changes will we need to make in our taxes?
Yeah, well, you need to raise taxes, and especially you need to raise taxes on, like, the higher income people, with higher marginal tax rates to be able to pay for.
Well, at some point you're gonna there's going to be no money left to tax on them because the richest 1%
Money just
only make
disappears.
up like $1 trillion, if even. And that's
Have you
enough money
seen-
to fund like nothing.
The richest 10% make up like 90% of wealth in the U.S. I mean, I don't quote me on that.
I'm talking the money that the people that like a 70% marginal income tax would affect.
Yeah, I'm not saying spend only 7% marginal tax rate and then
I'm just
everyone
saying
else
like
zero.
that's
You still pull in taxes from everyone else too.
yeah, but at some you're gonna have to tax middle class people too if you want to have these programs.
I understand
done,
that. I never
'cause-
said we wouldn't tax more.
I know it's
people.
just you got to mention it. 'Cause
Yeah, but what I'm saying right now is that richer people disproportionately don't pay like they are people who are most likely to like avoid taxes and find like loopholes because they are in a position to be able to do so. Right, middle class people aren't dodging taxes. People with like their tax havens in Ireland or the Virgin Islands are the ones dodging taxes. Right, so I understand that we'll have to raise taxes on everybody, but taxes on the rich should raise even higher than taxes on middle class.
well, yeah, but
Do you support AOC? She talks about. I think we've talked about this
We've talked
before.
about
Is
this
the
like 3 times
70% income tax? Do you want to explain? Obviously, it's not like you're giving 70% of
your
your
income over $10 million is taxed
Mhm.
at 70%.
And do you support that? Do you think we could go higher with that number? I think that's a little high.
yeah.
70%. I get it that it's over $10 million and that's probably like chump change for those rich people, but I think that is a little like if once we raise it to a certain point, I feel like when do we stop? Like when is there like a limit that we'd put on, or do you just keep raising and raising and raising?
I mean,
You know?
I don't think it's ever going to be 100%, but
Well, I don't like.
it's like
Let's hope not.
over 10 million. That's already a lot of money. Like
Mhm.
I don't think like these guys aren't starving because they're taxed at 70%.
Yeah.
I don't see why that's too much.
I think you should raise the marginal income tax on $10 million, but not 70%. That's just a little high for me.
What is? Do you guys know the current one? By
I think it's like 40.
40%. Yeah, I
Somewhere
think it
around
could
there.
be raised maybe like 50, 60. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to see it in practice, but.
It's not that many people. Like, even Jeff Bezos, that wouldn't even apply to him because he only makes like $80,000 a year from his income.
Yeah. When you are
Tax
tax,
capital gains tax. Though.
That's a capital
and
gains.
That's why he has such a low income because when you have a net zero salary, then your capital gains tax is 0%. So that's why he pays no taxes.
Which is also another problem. The fact that
Yeah, like the capital gains tax should be based not on your. I think it should be based on your net worth, not on your income.
Yeah. But okay, moving on to a different topic that is kind of unrelated to Andrew Yang that I really want to talk about. Colin, have you seen Endgame? Avengers
Yeah, I
Endgame.
I have to mark this
couple times.
podcast. as
Yeah.
spoilers when we talk.
Yeah.
Mark the second half. Mark the
Yeah.
second
Spoiler alert. Spoilers starting at 23 minutes.
Time for me to change.
Yeah, 23 minutes. Around that. That's where it is right now. It may change if we decide to cut some things out of this episode.
Who hasn't
What
seen
did?
that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of seen it at this point. And what did you guys think about the ending?
The ending?
Yeah, or just like the movie as a whole. Because it definitely wasn't what we were used to seeing from an Avengers
I mean,
movie.
it was awesome. I love the movie.
Did you like it better than Infinity War?
I did, yeah.
Why? Well, like what? And go in depth on the
Because
plot.
Infinity War was awesome. Not knocking Infinity War. It's just there's more emotion to this movie, more attachment to the characters. Because Infinity War, they were fitting a lot into that movie, like all these side stories, like with Thor and Rocket and Groot, and then you have the Titan storyline and Thanos himself and Gamora and the Earth storyline, and in Endgame, it's all kind of one storyline. It's easy to follow. Not that Infinity War is hard to follow. It's just Endgame was a lot, but it didn't feel as overstuffed as Infinity War.
Yeah, I felt like some parts. First of all, Endgame. Did you guys understand what they were talking about with like the different timelines?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't
It's like,
really.
yeah, of course.
I didn't really like.
I've thought a lot about this.
So can you explain to me kind of what they're like, what they were trying to do, and what like, because I remember in the beginning Tony Stark was like very tentative about the idea of time travel because he didn't want to lose his daughter and his family that he's had since the Thanos incident happened. But then they talked about all these like alternate timelines, and then like all these people were able to come back without anyone leaving, and how did that work?
Well, from my understanding of it, so our understanding of time travel, like from Back to the Future, is just not how it works. They say, which is true. It's not really how time travel would work. You don't go back to your past and change something. So if you go back to the past and change something, you're not going to affect what happens to you. It's like, say you go back in time and do what Marty McFly did in Back to the Future, you're not gonna lose yourself because of your interrupting your parents meeting each other. You're just gonna create a new timeline where they didn't know each other, so yours is still intact, but you're just creating another one where what happened in your timeline didn't happen.
So then how did they get that people back? Because that was the part that really...
Because that's in their timeline. They just go and get the Infinity Stones from another timelines. And then go in theirs and snap back and everyone comes back.
Gabe, what did you think about Endgame?
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. But I thought it was a better movie than Infinity War, but I didn't like it better than Infinity War. I don't know.
Same.
I don't know why.
Infinity War really, like, was just so cool. Like, I was telling Gabe about this. We talked on the other episode. Did you ever play Super Smash for this Brawl? With do the campaign story mode?
No.
Oh, well, in the campaign story mode, yeah. First of all, I highly recommend it, but they have, like, different pairings. So they have, like, Pikachu and Samus is, like, one storyline, which is, like, just two completely... two characters that would never cross each other. Wario and Fox from Star Fox is one timeline. That's what I really liked about Infinity War. Is it was kind of like these combinations that you wouldn't necessarily see. And I think in Endgame, one of the things I didn't like is that obviously that all those superheroes had died, or like I guess technically died from the Thanos incident in the end of Infinity War.
They disappeared.
So then, I don't know. I felt like there were some heroes that I feel like it could have added some to Endgame. Like Spider-Man, definitely his charisma and his energy definitely could have added some. I also felt like there was a lot of forced emotion in Endgame. I don't know. I wasn't really that sad even when like Tony Stark died. I felt like it was kind of like drawn out. Yeah.
Well, did you see Iron Man in theaters when it came out?
Iron Man. I saw Iron Man 2.
Okay.
I never saw.
I saw Iron Man in theaters, so I think that might have added to it because I've been watching him for 11 years. Because that was definitely a sad moment when he died.
Yeah. Have you heard any like fan theories, or do you guys have any ideas of what they should do moving forward with the Avengers? Do you think they're gonna replace Iron Man? And
no.
So there's just gonna be no more Iron Man movies.
Well, they're not Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do like Ironheart or something, like the new one. Young black woman. I don't know. I don't really know much about her. I just know that she exists.
There is this like increasing amount of black superheroes. Yeah. At the end of Endgame, what was the guy's name? Who's like Captain America? Like the black dude.
Black Panther.
Falcon. He was like, I felt like that was an indicator when Captain America gave him his shield that he was about to become the next.
I think he's in the comics. I think, right?
Yeah, he did, but the actor said that he's not Captain America because he has his own TV show coming out called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Winter Soldier and Falcon on the new Disney
streaming service.
Yeah, they have a Falcon and Winter Soldier show, a Wanda and Vision, Scarlet Witch and Vision show,
that
Loki
Disney
and Hawkeye.
The Disney streaming service is about to, I think, just immediately jump up because of all the content.
And it's only $7 a month.
It's only $7 a month.
$7 a month.
I didn't get why. Is Hulu still gonna exist as a streaming service?
But you have Hulu free with Spotify, right?
Yeah, and with Sprint. Sign up for Sprint, get free Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu is now owned by Disney majority, so Disney's gonna put all their more adult content that they got from the Fox deal onto Hulu and keep Disney Plus more family friendly, like nothing rated R on Disney Plus.
That's a good idea. There's gonna be so much good content.
There's like an oversaturation. I feel of streaming services. Like there's just so many. I feel like.
Well, when it's Disney, I mean, they are kind of immune to that. I think because they're Disney, right?
But like, isn't like Apple also trying to make a streaming service?
Yeah, and theirs is gonna be trash because.
Yeah, but there's like so many. I feel like
because they've never done anything entertainment, and now they're trying to get into entertainment.
Well, that's how these things start up, right? I
mean, like Disney's been doing entertainment.
Well, I know obviously Disney, but like people started Hulu or Netflix didn't do entertainment before, did they?
Well, yeah, they did because Hulu was started by the 4 major studios.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
And I think that the streaming services, I don't think there's oversaturation. I think it's just a sign of the times. More that instead of watching everything on Fox, watching it on ABC,
yeah,
watching
but the whole
on CBS.
appeal of the streaming service is what you didn't have to pay for cable, and then you end up paying like the same cost of your bill.
Well, you don't have to pay for all of it.
Obviously, you don't have to pay for all of it still.
And there is like
get DC Universe or whatever.
It's catered to you, I can turn on the TV and go look at as many channels as I want, but I'm not going to pick the programming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On these streaming services, it is kind of catered to you. But I didn't realize, I was actually reading about it the other day. I didn't realize like the actual scope of all the things Disney owned. So ESPN,
it's a big company.
ESPN, ABC, Hulu, Fox.
Yeah,
the top 10 of the top 10 movie studios in the world, Disney owns like 3 of them, like 3 or 4 of them. It's like 20th Century Fox, Searchlight Pictures, Disney, and then Marvel.
Like, you look at all the movies that have made more than $1 billion worldwide, and half of them are Disney.
Yeah. Do you think this is a problem of Disney dominating the industry? Like, do you think that there is some monopolization in the industry?
Back to politics.
Yeah. Bringing it back full circle, yeah.
Disney's not a monopoly. They're, it's kind of impossible for them to be a monopoly by, the DOJ standards, because they don't have a market share and overwhelming majority market share in one market. They have a sizable market share in a lot of markets. It's kind of like Amazon. Disney has their sports network, their news network, their TV network, their movie distributor, their a couple movie production studios. They are the leading movie distributor in box office terms, but they do not have a majority. And even after buying Fox, they still don't have a majority. So, sure, it's not necessarily great that the industry is consolidating, but
yeah, I think they could lump all those things that Disney does into a whole thing and be like, they just consider it like the media industry, be like, oh, Disney has a monopoly here, Amazon has a monopoly here. Can you see, because these companies aren't going to slow down, they're going to keep growing and growing. Can you see this, like Amazon and Disney escalating to a point where the government has to step in and say,
I agree with Collin. I don't think Disney doesn't have a monopoly, because they're like what's like 6 big things, like Disney, CBS, can't name the other ones, Fox,
NBC, Universal.
Universal.
Fox not anymore. Part of Disney.
No, but like the Fox, the rest.
You're talking like news.
But Fox,
Fox still exists.
Time Warner, AT&T, Time Warner. That's the big one.
Yeah, that's another consolidation thing.
So I mean, it's not monopoly, but it's like what's the word for it? It's not duopoly either. It's whatever it is.
Oligopoly.
Oligopoly. Yeah. Where multiple companies dominate market share, which kind of prevents other people from coming here. But it's a hard industry to come up in, right? It's hard to start your own recording studio or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it could be a case where it's like a natural oligopoly, where it's just hard to start, like airlines or something, where the cost to go into the industry is too high. But I don't think Disney is the most pressing like monopoly. If anything, I feel like the people like the cable providers are more pressing, like Comcast, NBC.
I mean, they're actually like a monopoly. It's not in literal terms, but they have monopolies in regions, right? Like there are certain neighborhoods where you can only get Comcast or you can only get Verizon. That's a monopoly. There's not really any competition there.
Yeah, that's a more pressing monopoly, I think, than Disney.
But do you think the cable companies are going to suffer? Obviously, they.
Oh no, they're not going to suffer.
What do you mean suffer?
From the growing streaming services.
They're profiting off of it. NBC, like these companies are all owned by like streamers, NBC, whatever, Comcast.
I mean, that's why they're buying so much other stuff, so they can diversify and keep making money. AT&T, I think they have their own cable company.
Well, AT&T Time Warner is one company.
Yeah, and then they bought Time Warner.
Yeah, and then did you hear T-Mobile and Sprint are trying it?
They're trying to merge. I think, you gotta prove it, I think.
That's just them trying to survive.
Yeah, because AT&T and Verizon are obviously a lot
AT&T and Verizon already split up like 20 years ago, right? It used to be like Bell.
Really?
Yeah, they were the original like phone company, Bell, or whatever it's called, telecommunications. They got split up into like a bunch of different companies called like Baby Bells or whatever. And slowly they kind of like merging again. Yeah. Now we have 4 telecom companies, soon to be 3.
I just want to see Cricket rise up. That's what I want to see.
Cricket, Metro PCS.
But that's also another industry where it's hard. Like you can't just build cell towers wherever you want.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to come up in. And I think like, and same with internet providers too. Like I think Google tried to do something a while back where they set their own
Fiber,
set their own internet provider, and then they like got pushed out by the existing companies.
Yeah, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, so it's hard industries to get in that these monopolies start to rise up in.
I mean, I think oligopoly is probably what's best for the consumer, because
I feel like when a straight competition would be better for the consumer.
Well, because in a true and perfect competition, there would be too much. It would be overwhelming for the consumer. With oligopoly, it's simple. Monopoly, obviously, there's one company like controlling it, but with oligopoly, there is a considerable amount of competition, but not too much to overwhelm the consumer.
But like for stuff like internet, all you need to know is how fast. You don't need to know every single company's name. You need to know what the bandwidth they're providing you and the cost. You don't need to compare all 50 service providers.
But I think what you were saying about the natural oligopolies is that something like an internet provider, or like you can, like you were saying, you can only have so many cell towers. You can only have so many like wavelengths. I think with media, it's not as much of a natural oligopoly because there is more of a consumer choice. Like you choose what you want to watch every time you watch something. You don't like. It's not like, oh, you can only watch ABC Family in this one neighborhood, and you can only watch NBC in the other neighborhood. But so I think it's less. I would still say it's hard. It's obviously hard to make it in like in the media industry, but it's less hard, I think, especially because there's a lot more outlets too.
Yeah, but having choice doesn't necessarily stop you from having a monopoly. Like Google recently got sued by the EU for unfair market practices for like putting their own products in the top of the Google searches or whatever, like putting their own ads in the top of Google searches, right? You could choose to use Bing or Yahoo, but the fact is that they're using their dominant market position and they're using it to promote their own products and giving themselves an unfair advantage over other competitors.
But I don't see anything wrong with that. If it's their service that they're providing, I think they should have kind of autonomy over that.
There's a point where there's no way for any other things to compete, right? If you want to advertise your product, you can't because Google owns the search engine, right? It's like the searching and then selling products are two different like industries, right? So why should Google be able to leverage its monopoly in one to like promote itself in the other?
You're right. That does make a lot of sense, actually. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the devil and angel on your shoulder sometimes with dealing, like, because a part of you is like wants more equal behavior for all and wants these companies to be contained, but then I feel like at least inside of me, there's like the inner like serial entrepreneur and businessman that's like, oh, just like let the businesses do as they please, give them autonomy over the product. Like if they create the product, they have the right to sell it, which is kind of, I feel like it all culminates to a point for me with the pharmaceutical industry. Because obviously it's crooked. Obviously there's like some change that needs to be made, but there is like the argument that they are creating the drugs themselves, or at least buying it from the people that have created them, and it's in their position. And I'm a firm believer that if it's your product, you should be able to sell it at however you want,
Even the pharmaceutical ones, the ones where people rely on their products to live?
Even that's just, I mean, it's fucked. And I think, like, obviously, if you have AIDS, you need your medicine. But see, that's what I'm saying, the angel and the devil on your shoulder, like obviously if you have AIDS, you need your medicine. Obviously the company that owns the medicine and created the medicine like should have the autonomy to sell the medicine at the cost that they please.
No, I'm not crying for any farm execs or anything. Yeah. They're fine.
Conclude this episode.
End, right?
Yeah, we're right on about the time that we were aiming for. So that concludes this episode of Slightly Educational Podcast Season 2, Episode 1. My name is Seth Goodwin, as always.
Gabe. And I'm Collin.
Yeah, and see you guys next time. Peace out.